If you're watching this, then you might be one of the people that know what mid-game feels like. You may log in, do a herb run, do a slayer task. You might be in a cycle where you feel a bit stuck. Maybe because you don't know where you are in your progression, but maybe that doesn't even really matter. People will question what even is mid-game, but understanding this isn't going to help you progress in the way you want. Because mid-game might mean different things for different people. The first thing is to obviously have fun in whatever you're doing, but then also have some long-term goals and targets. One of the main things a lot of people get caught up in is trying to define what the mid-game is. I would say this is more a mindset problem, and one of the biggest things holding people back. The mid-game might feel overwhelming because there isn't really a clear finish line. You could spend hours on Reddit and you'll find that no one actually 100% agrees on what the mid-game is. And because of that, it is really easy to do a bit of everything and it might feel like you're not making any real progress. So instead of worrying about what stage your account is in, just pick a clear direction. It doesn't even have to be crazy. Just pick 1 or 2 goals that actually excite you. And once you have them in mind, just focus on them. You don't need to try to do everything at once, because the ones who actually get out of the mid-game are the ones who are building momentum by actually finishing things. The mid-game isn't a stat bracket whatsoever, it's just that feeling of feeling stuck. But once you start completing real milestones and doing the things that you wanted to do, that feeling starts to slowly disappear. So away from mindset, if you feel like you're in the mid-game and you want to get to the end game, one of the first things you need to have are the Barrows Gloves. If you don't have these yet, make this your next big goal. Barrows Gloves are the second best in slot for all 3 combat styles: melee, ranged and magic. They're only beaten by late game items, but you don't even need to worry about that for now. But the true value aren't just the gloves itself, it's everything that you're doing along the way to get to them. The recipe for disaster forces you to do a huge chunk of the game's content in a beautiful way. You're going to be trading skills, unlocking new areas, doing boss fights, and all of this will set you up for the later parts of the game. The quest itself isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but the actual requirements to complete the quest take a lot of time, and that is exactly why this is a very good goal for progression. Once you've got your Barrows Gloves, your entire account just feels more complete. The Barrows Gloves are just one piece of the puzzle though. There's a whole category of gear in the game that doesn't cost much GP because you have to earn it, and it's some of the best value gear that you're ever gonna get. Here are a core list of a few of them: the Dragon Defender from the Warriors Guild, the Fighter's Torso from Barbarian Assault, the Fire Cape from the Fight Caves, Ava's Assembler from killing Vorkarth and getting the head, and Majorina Capes, Majorina 2 especially. None of these are about money, they're all about you putting the time in. And once you've gotten all of these items, the overall power of your character just jumps up massively without needing to spend much GP. The next one might sound boring, but it's one of the best quality of life upgrades you can make. A lot of the reason why the early mid-game feels super slow is because you don't have a good transportation network yet. Fairy rings, spirit trees, gnome gliders, the ectophile, achievement diary teleports, things like the Ardy Cloak, Explorer's Ring, etc. And if you're super serious, then starting to work on your player-owned home. Even just the basic setup of a jewelry box, a portal nexus, and a fairy ring, all of these will save an insane amount of time. When you're scrolling through all the quests, I know it can look a bit daunting. It really is, but it's one of the best long-term goals you can actually have. At minimum, I would say to aim for all of the Grandmaster quests. Ideally, obviously, the full Questscape. The Grandmaster quests definitely have some of the highest requirements in the game, but once these are done, you're gonna feel a lot closer to escape in the mid-game, and they unlock some of the most important content in the game, especially Desert Treasure 2. The Questscape also doubles as a fairy ring teleport, which is pretty nice. Use the quest helper, there's no reason not to unless you want to be one of those players that don't, but if you don't care then just use it as it saves so much time. Next, this one is actually a huge power spike and one of the things you're going to need to feel like you're closer to the end game, and that's getting all your combat stats to at least base 90. 90 attack, strength, defense and ranged, and 94 magic for Ice Barrage. Ice Barrage completely changes how fast you can train things like Slayer, and is super important if you ever want to do PvP. You don't need 99s before doing any serious endgame bossing, but I would definitely say try to get to at least 90. If you want to be closer to the endgame, you're going to need to start to stack your GP to afford the endgame things. To do this, just spend a week or 2 farming a boss like Vorkarth or Zulrah. There's a whole bunch of bosses that you could farm to make some money. You don't even need a crazy amount, just enough to fund what you need to fund to get to the endgame. Whether that be skills, gear, or dying to a Grandmaster quest. A lot of mid-game accounts end up with strong melee stats but very weak ranged and magic stats. and that's definitely going to hold you back when you want to do endgame content. If you want to get there faster and you have some money to, you can either use chins for ranged or burst for magic to get there quick. After you've completed Monkey Madness 2, in the tunnels the maniacal monkeys are the best for getting your ranged up fast, and they're great for bursting magic as well. But bear in mind this is going to cost a lot, but if you have the spare GP and you feel like doing it, then why not? If you want to enter the giveaway and have a chance at winning a bond, first subscribe to the channel, like the video and comment down below some advice for people in the mid-game. And if you're in the mid-game, let me know how it's going. The next one is more a long-term thing, but it definitely matters more than people realise. Graceful, the Prospector, the Angler and the Lumberjack are all worth getting. Some of these help within their respective skills, but they're also required for things like Master Clue Steps, and if you don't have them now then you're going to end up needing to get them later on anyway. Another thing a lot of players miss out on is doing dailies and weeklies. Things like herb runs, birdhouse runs, farming contracts, daily battle staffs and Tears of Gothics. It's not flashy stuff, but it all compounds, and compounding is one of the best things that can happen for your account. It funds supplies, especially for ironmen, it builds your cash stack, and it keeps your account progressing even on low effort days. So the reason you're going to need some GP going into the endgame is to upgrade all gear in all 3 combat styles. But the key is to get things that actually give you value for your money. For melee, things like the whip to the tent whip, the Nater's Knot helm to the face guard, and the Berserker ring to the imbued one. Eventually you're going to want things like the Osmunton's Fang, and a few other things that are just going to help overall. For range you're going to want to upgrade the blowpipe into things like the Crystal Armor and Bofa. It's big investments, but it carries you through a huge amount of the endgame content. And for magic, the Occult Necklace, and then Arums to Trident, to the Rune Pouch, to things like Zanite Jewelry. A lot of these things are going to add up, but they're massive upgrades that you're definitely going to need. If you don't have it yet, it's nice to get Elite Void. It's free and very strong in certain situations. It's most commonly used in TOB or Theatre of Blood, especially for learners and people on budget setups. Do the medium and hard combat achievements first, and then the extra points will help massively. It's definitely a bit of a grind, but I would say it's definitely worth having as well. But maybe I'm a bit too much of a completionist, some people will say that it's not worth it. If you haven't tried the Moons of Peril yet, this is one of the best things you can do right now. It's basically designed as a stepping stone into proper PvM. You're going to be learning prayer switching, target priority and positioning, and it's forgiving enough that you can learn. And it also pays pretty well, usually 1 to 2 mil per hour, depending on your setup and efficiency. And the uniques are actually useful upgrades at this stage. If you're not sure where to start with PvM, then this could be a good option. But not just the perilous moons, you can train Slayer. Training Slayer will help you understand the game's different bosses and how to adapt your mechanics to whatever task or boss you have. Early Slayer may feel like a bit of a grind, but once you get to the later levels it's way more fun and way more profitable. If you're close to getting your quest cape, then you're probably preparing for Desert Treasure 2. This quest is a major turning point. It unlocks Vardorvis, Duke, the Whisperer and Leviathan. These bosses are not only difficult, but they're designed to teach you endgame content. The more you do them, the better you get, it's as simple as that. And they also can make some serious money, which is going to feed back into your gear progression. The hard diaries are a huge milestone as well. They're not extremely important, but they help because they give things like strong teleports, XP lamps and quality of life upgrades. Once those are done and your stats are in the right place and your gear's in the right place, I would say that you're ready to start raiding. Raiding is where you start to feel like an endgame player. Start with TOA or Tombs of a Massacre at low invocations. Learn it solo or with a team and then scale up. You can then start to do harder raids and so on. Even though I said you'll need money to progress, don't make it the main focus. As you progress, the game will naturally provide you moments of big money drops or whatever it might be. Just learn to not bleed the money you do have and you should be fine. And also it's better to train combat stats to a high level rather than overspending on unnecessary gear. Better stats will always be better than better gear. Don't think just because your fit isn't 500 million that you can't learn things like entry level TOA. The more important thing is getting good enough stats and then getting a good understanding of the game's bosses and mechanics. Because if you truly want to become an endgame player, you're gonna need to throw yourself into the deep end. No more being comfortable when it comes to bossing especially. You're gonna need to challenge yourself, because I would say everything you've done up until Desert Treasure 2, if I'm being kinda blunt, has been fairly easy. So being okay with dying is something that's super important if you later want to do endgame content that provides not only very good money drops but a lot of fun. A lot of the time the people who are stuck in the mid game are those who sacrifice fast account progression for GP. Things like not using a cannon for Slayer or like bursting, or not using piety and rigor, or not using divine potions. It doesn't really make sense to do that, as if you really want to make the big money, that's at the endgame. A secret to escaping the mid-game is being really good at consistently clearing endgame content, understanding the tick system, pathing, movement, and everything else. This is truly what enables you to become an endgame player. Everything else is kinda just the journey. But away from progression and more about having fun, the mid-game is arguably the best part about a RuneScape account. There are so many obstacles you have to overcome and quest requirements that you're going to need to grind for, whether that be for a few hours, a few days, or a few weeks. But then once you've done it, you can complete that quest and it feels amazing. There's so many things to appreciate about the mid-game, so just don't rush it. Don't skip core parts of the journey just because you want to be an endgame player so bad. Enjoy the journey, and the endgame will feel nicer knowing you fully explored everything that the OSRS Midgame has to offer. You don't need to do everything at once, just pick a couple of things and build momentum. Things start to snowball very fast in OSRS, so don't overthink it, find what you enjoy and have fun. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to enter the Bond giveaway. If you enjoy OSRS, then one of these videos on screen might interest you. I hope you're having a good day, and until the next one, peace.